I remember I used to do a series of audio adventures.
Audio adventures.
Yeah.
Right.
On YouTube, like, what was it? I think the last ones were about 4 years ago.
Right, yeah.
Like that.
Right.
And it was all about like teachers and things like that in my old secondary school.
Right.
And the lead character in that was someone called Mr. Murray.
Mr. Murray?
Yeah, who was like this Yorkshireman.
Yeah.
Who was in his 60s.
Peter Sutcliffe?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
No, it's basically he was a supply teacher.
Oh, right. Is he a real person?
Yeah, he's a real person. It's based on that. And all of the teachers in the series were based on real people. But because I was at the school at the time, I didn't name any of the other ones, so it was just referred to as like the English teacher.
So what? So you used to write like short stories?
Yeah, and do like the voices and do the impressions.
Did you animate the?
No, there wasn't an animation. I was quite sad actually because I wanted to do an animation of it.
There's a lot of work though, doing all of that, and then you've got your GCSEs and your
and also the technology.
You just learned to masturbate, yeah.
Well,
there was a couple of programs. There was that Stickman thing you could do Stickman animations with. There was a couple of Flash.
Yeah, but the technology at the time, particularly, it started in 2010.
Yeah.
And the cartoon,
like Ed's World. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, I do remember. But the technology of the time, it wasn't really advanced enough to do the things that I wanted to do with it. So it ended up being audio adventures. Yeah. And that ran for about 5 years.
And what was there a plot like there are in American TV shows where there are things happening in each episode, but there's a broader narrative
story arc.
Yeah,
story
arc.
There was actually in one of them. So in the third series there was this. Basically, it started with Mr. Murray getting a job as a postman, but you find out later on. I think it's in the 4th episode of that series.
Do you still have these audio files?
I do have these.
That's fantastic.
Files, yeah.
Right, just carry on.
So in the 4th,
he gets a job as a postman.
Yeah, in the 4th one, he goes to Frankie and Benny's, and he annoys the manager of Frankie and Benny's.
Right. Is he going by himself to Frankie and Benny's? It doesn't matter, carry on.
It doesn't matter. But basically, he's learning the Italian language in the toilets, because they do that.
So he goes to Italy?
No. It's in the UK.
Lichfield?
No, it's not.
Where's it set? Stockport?
No, I envisaged it.
Kendal?
No, I envisaged it happening in Burton-on-Trent, but...
Why? Why did you envisage it happening in Burton-on-Trent?
That was the Frankie and Benny's place that I had in mind.
Oh, you've been there?
I've been there, yeah. And that's the one I had in mind. Right. There's also one in Tamworth. But
it's easy to write a story and envision it when you've really been to the place.
And so like when you go to the toilet in Frankie and Benny's, it does this language learning thing. So you learn Italian.
In front of the urinals or something?
No, it's an audio thing.
Yeah.
So you can learn a language while you're sat in the toilet, and basically that's what he does.
Or does he get involved with the mafia?
No, but it sort of included.
He joins the Catholic Church and rapes some kids.
No,
right?
But
okay.
There was actually an episode where Mr. Murray was the victim of sexual abuse.
That's pretty dark for a teenager.
It was actually. Yeah. No, it was, and
how old is Mr. Murray? What does he look like?
Right. Okay.
Is he gay? What weight is he?
He isn't.
Right.
He
doesn't weigh anything.
He's actually quite rotund. He was conceived as like this guy in his 60s, and I think he actually is in his 60s now, late 60s.
Right.
When this was done, it would have been early 60s.
Right.
He had glasses that were not unlike yours, which is like
normal
thick black rimmed
with tortoiseshell these are.
Yeah, or whatever.
Right.
He had his hair that sort of only went round the sides and the back, and it was a sort of pale blonde, and it looked
like a male pattern balding, but sort of blonde.
Yeah, but
you get salt and pepper hair, don't you? Where someone with dark hair is going grey.
Yeah.
But with a blonde person, you can't really call it that because it's not black and white.
It was just blonde around the sides and the back.
Sort of like a late William Hague before he lost his hair.
Yes, except that the texture of it resembled cotton wool.
Oh, so like a close knit, like you
and it was curly and things like that.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah. So yeah, go on.
And he spoke with a thick sort of Yorkshire accent.
So when you got good marks, what did he say? Did he go, "That were reet nice"?
To be honest, at the end of
Chris,
the
you can go to the toilet.
at the end of the
Is that respect?
at the end of the year, he actually gave us the answers for our end of year assessment.
It was pre-GCSE.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So in the next year, the only reason why I was in the second set in the following year was because I didn't manage to get to him in time to get the answers,
Oh, right. Oh, that's...
which is crap.
Yeah, because honesty betrayed you there, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
So-
technically.
So
I
what
did the
happened
right
when
thing, and I was
Mr.
honest.
Murray got off the toilet and he'd learnt Italian? Presumably he took a leap
so-
there and he'd learned lots of Italian.
Yeah,
More
so
than
he,
you could
so
possibly
he
learn.
starts communicating in Italian. That was one of them.
Unconsciously or consciously?
No, consciously.
Right,
yeah.
okay, he starts speaking Italian. Right.
And I can't remember the story precisely, but in the fourth episode it was he meets the manager of the Frankie and Bennett's because he's requesting someone who speaks Italian and the people there only speak English because
Oh, so it's
he's changed his language.
right. So it's sort of like a bit sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
where people swap
Well,
voices.
yeah, but then
it's
the
a classic
the-
cliche, but it's good.
yeah, the really interesting thing is that the manager of the
Chris Wilkinson has just picked up his pint of Magners during this part of the story.
so the manager of Frankie and Bennett's has access to a time machine, and there's this sort of running thread. There's a load of sci-fi references
Right.
in it, and it's a bit surreal in places.
Right.
But he has this time
Are there
machine.
any references from Xena Warrior Princess?
I didn't know what that was. At the
Okay,
time.
right, carry on. It's alright, that doesn't matter, carry on.
So he
yeah.
basically he wants to do Mr. Murray in because he's been uncooperative and he can't speak the language.
didn't
He's
pay his bill.
Yeah, he's not paying for the food and things like that. So what he
So
does?
this is a repeat occurrence.
Well, no, in the fourth episode, basically he gets the worst job ever for Mr. Murray, which ends up being a postman. So what he does is he travels back in time to the first episode of that series and gives him the job as a postman.
Alright.
And so there's sort of miniature story arcs that go around,
Right, yeah.
things like that.
Why, in your view, or why do you think you picked being a postman as a bad job? Because there are a lot worse jobs than being a postman, surely.
Well, because I think it was because in the context of the story he couldn't do it, and if you actually listen to what happened to him in the first episode,
You can't read letters, you can't deliver.
well, no, basically I think he got hit by a car, if I'm honest, and it was all designed.
In real
to-
life, you thought you got hit by a car.
No, in the story.
Oh, right, okay.
So, in the context of the story, bad things happened to him as a result of being a postman. I think being bitten by a dog, things like that. I mean, it's pretty,
Yeah, but surely like a sweatshop worker's worse.
Well, yeah, but in the context of what happens to him in the first episode, which the audience already knows because they've already seen the first.
So you've targeted it towards people that know the real life characters.
No.
No?
Well, no, because anyone can understand it if they.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah, but obviously the people who were listening to it knew who the people were.
Yeah.